citizens, be aware that the vassal, Prince Herod, Tetrarch of Galilee, has come to the city. By order of the triumvirate, during his residence here, all mockery of Jews and their one God shall be kept to an appropriate minimum.
Herod, the king of Galilee, beheaded John the Baptist for criticizing him over his marriage to Herodias, his brother's ex-wife. When Jesus was brought to him by the Sanhedrin, led by Caiaphas, for crucifixion, he refused, saying, "No, take him away from me. Send him back to Pilate." Herod wanted nothing to do with Jesus' death, so he passed the responsibility to Pilate, the governor of Judea. Why did he do this? To understand Herod's actions, we need to examine the letter he wrote to Pontius Pilate, which has recently been discovered. This letter sheds light on his true motives for quickly dismissing the Sanhedrin's demands. Initially, Herod and Pilate were not on good terms at all, as confirmed by the Bible. However, after this event, they became close. This is referenced in Luke 23:12. Today, we are exploring the discovery of this letter from Herod to Pilate. So, without further ado, let's begin. I want to bring to your notice how we came about this letter, so that in case you will want to challenge us with references and all, you will know where to begin. For a fact, the letters are found in a Syriac manuscript from the 6th or 7th century located in the British Museum. Dr. Tischendorf has a Greek copy from a Paris manuscript. Dr. Tischendorf notes that while the script differs significantly between the Syriac and Greek versions, the content remains consistent. The letters are followed by additional extracts, likely added by a copyist. These extracts come after the subscription to Pilate's letter. The text suggests that Justinus refers to Justus of Tibarius, a historian mentioned by Josephus. There is skepticism about the authenticity of the extract, as Photius noted that Justus did not mention Christ. Theodorus is understood to be Emperor Tiberius. The question and answer align with the anaphora, or response of Pilate. This implies that the presence of these letters in ancient manuscripts suggests an early interest in the correspondence between Herod and Pilate. The differences in script, but not in content between the Syriac and Greek versions, highlight the challenges of textual transmission and the potential for variations in ancient manuscripts. The extracts added by a copyist indicate that the text was subject to modifications over time, which could affect the interpretation and perceived authenticity of the letters. Identifying Theodorus as Emperor Tiberius provides a clearer understanding of the historical figures involved in the correspondence. The text demonstrates the importance of scholarly examination in determining the provenance, authenticity, and historical value of ancient documents. The mention of experts like Dr. Tischendorf and Photius highlights the ongoing academic efforts to understand and interpret early Christian writings. Therefore, we also find it necessary and important to share with you, our cherished viewers. Hit the subscribe button if you are new to this channel to get more fresh content like this one. In addition to this letter, we add also the counter letter Pilate wrote as a reply to even up the conversation. Now the beginning of the letter. Herod to Pontius Pilate, the governor of Jerusalem. Peace. I am in great anxiety. I write these things unto thee, that when thou hast heard them, thou mayest be grieved for me. For as my daughter Herodias, who is dear to me, was playing upon a pool of water which had ice upon it, it broke under her, and all her body went down, and her head was cut off, and remained on the surface of the ice. And behold, her mother is holding her head upon her knees in her lap, and my whole house is in great sorrow. For I, when I heard of the man Jesus, wished to come to thee, that I might see him alone and hear his word, whether it was like that of the sons of men. And it is certain that because of the many evil things which were done by me to John the Baptist, and because I mocked the Christ, behold, I receive the reward of righteousness, for I have shed much blood of others' children upon the earth. Therefore the judgments of God are righteous, for every man receives according to his thought. But since thou wast worthy to see that God-man, therefore it becometh you to pray for me. Okay, so, from the start of this letter, we could see the alteration we spoke of earlier. Considering the historical context and the nature of their relationship, it is unlikely that Herod would write such a personal and emotional letter to Pontius Pilate, although they are friends now. But their correspondence would typically be more formal and centered on political or administrative matters. The tone and content of this letter, with its detailed account of personal tragedy and emotional distress, do not align well with the kind of communication we might expect between two political figures like Herod and Pilate. Their letters would more likely discuss governance, law, and issues affecting their respective regions rather than personal family matters. Notwithstanding, this letter is still quite intriguing, so let's continue to see what's there. And I too am in affliction and great trial, because I have the dropsy, and am in great distress, because I persecuted the introducer of baptism by water, which was John. Therefore, my brother, the judgments of God are righteous. And my wife, again, through all her grief for her daughter, is become blind in her left eye, because we desired to blind the eye of righteousness. There is no peace to the doers of evil, saith the Lord. For already great affliction cometh upon the priests and upon the writers of the law, because they delivered unto thee the just one. For this is the consummation of the world, that they consented that the Gentiles should become heirs. For the children of light shall be cast out. For they have not observed the things which were preached concerning the Lord, and concerning his Son. Therefore gird up thy loins, and receive righteousness, thou with thy wife remembering Jesus night and day. And the kingdom shall belong to you Gentiles. For we, the chosen people, have mocked the righteous one. Now if there is place for our request, O Pilate, because we were at one time in power, bury my household carefully. For it is right that we should be buried by thee, rather than by the priests, whom after a little time, as the Scriptures say, at the coming of Jesus Christ, vengeance shall overtake. Now this seems more odd of a letter Herod will write. The tone is way shifting beyond what such an ancient king would write to a governor. The tone of the letter is highly personal and remorseful, filled with confessions of guilt, afflictions, and appeals for righteousness. This level of emotional vulnerability and personal detail seems out of place in a formal communication between two high-ranking political figures of the time. The letter is heavily laden with Christian theological themes and interpretations, such as references to the eye of righteousness, judgments of God, and the coming of Jesus Christ. It seems to reflect a perspective more in line with early Christian teachings and morality, rather than the historical Herod's likely views and priorities. The historical Herod was known for his political cunning and ambition, rather than for personal letters of repentance and theological reflection. Let's add the later part of the letter to see what it concludes about. Fare thee well, with Procla thy wife. I send thee the earrings of my daughter, and my own ring, that they may be unto thee a memorial of my decease. For already do worms begin to issue from my body, and lo, I am receiving temporal judgment, and I am afraid of the judgment to come. For in both we stand before the works of the living God, but this judgment, which is temporal, is for a time, while that to come is judgment forever. End of the letter to Pilate the governor. Now that we know how this letter has been manipulated, I don't think there is a need to bring the reply of Pilate in this one. Let me give you a glimpse into the opening of this Pilate letter, And if you would want to know the reply, then comment down below, and I will share that one also. Pilate to Herod the Tetrarch. Peace. Know and see that in the day when thou didst deliver Jesus unto me, I took pity on myself, and testified by washing my hands that I was innocent, concerning him who rose from the grave after 3 days, and had performed thy pleasure in him. For thou didst desire me to be associated with thee in his crucifixion. But I now learn from the executioners and from the soldiers who watched his sepulchre that he rose from the dead. And I have especially confirmed what was told me, that he appeared bodily in Galilee, to the same form, and with the same voice, and with the same doctrine, and with the same disciples, not having changed one in anything, but preaching with boldness his resurrection and an everlasting kingdom. Let us know in the comment section if we really have to upload the full version of Pilate's letter as a reply to Herod. Check out this video about Pilate's wife's letter to her friend concerning the crucifixion, which is now on your screen.